Hi.
Uh, Hello, students. I hope you all can hear me.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Fine. I got it. So we have our mentors here. Like his name is Ayan Chawla. Okay. He is from Microsoft. He's working with Microsoft. Uh, Hello. All right. Fine. Got
Can't hear your voice, ma'am.
Sorry for the glitch, students. I was just introducing you with your mentors. His name is Ayan Chawla. He is working with Microsoft from past 4 years. Okay, and he is in a specialization with AI domain particularly. Okay, so he will be taking up your today's session. All right. So whatever the doubts you have, you can clear with him personally, and I hope this session goes well. All right. So we'll start with the session now.
Thanks, Articulate. Yep. So, hi everyone. I'm Ayan Chavla. I'm a 21 pass out graduate. I have been working with Microsoft from start. A little bit about me. If you want to know more about me, I'm sharing my LinkedIn. Feel free to go there. Feel free to raise a connect request. So I just shared my LinkedIn in the chat. You all can visit that. Okay. Before starting, I'll just need a refresher here. So this is the second webinar that we are having. So it will be in a continuation of the project that we discussed last time. Today we'll go into a lot of depth of that project. Okay, before that, I want to understand few things. So please introduce yourself in the chat. Is this your first webinar you are attending? Or secondly, I want to know if you are a student, if you are a working professional, and if you are a student, which course, which year you are in. Please feel free to put those comments in your chat. We'll keep it interactive. Don't come off mute directly. Please put the things in the chat. I'll be monitoring chats. I don't want a silent audience.
Ma'am, can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes.
Ma'am, host disable the group chat, ma'am. I can't able.
Sorry. I can't see any messages. ID Group team, have you disabled some chats or something like that?
It's now done. Student can put in the chat box as well.
Please don't send first me messages. Please put it in one. I don't want a private messages. I'm getting a lot of them. Yeah. Okay. Getting messages. Good. Students, what's your DRAC? Okay. Second, I'm attending webinar. Good. So majority we have students. Let me quickly share my screen. Please give me a yes or no once my screen is visible.
Yeah, sir. It's visible.
It's visible, right?
Yes, sir.
So, okay. So for the folks who's attending for the first time, we'll be going into a depth of a project that we discussed last time. I'll give a brief of that project now, and yeah, so that you have a context. But okay, so we have already created a project in AI. What we have done was our project was resume evaluation. You will be giving your resume here. It is going to go to the AI. AI will scan your resume, read that resume, and come back with the results. Once we're back with your results, you can ask questions on top of that, like how you can improve your AI, and it will suggest you some changes to do. And then those changes you can implement here. So that is what the complete project is. Give me a yes or no if you are good with the project. I hope everyone understood the project, what we are mentioning here. We'll be seeing multiple concepts here. It's not just about the project we are going to talk about. We'll be seeing multiple concepts, RAG concepts, and other stuff. It's just a matter of you'll start with the project itself. Are we good? Anyone here who doesn't understand what the project is? What the project is? What is this application? Anyone who doesn't understood it yet? Please give me yes or no on the chat if you got to know what this project is all about, or should I repeat? I'm repeating it again. So we have a project, or basically we have an application. We will submit our resume, a CV to this application. This application will send it to our AI. AI will scan the CV, read it out, and come back with the results. Once we have our results, we will be asking questions on top of our CV, how to improve that for a specific job. So for example, if you want to apply for a software developer, what are the changes that you need to do here. And then it will suggest you some changes and you can implement those changes. Are good? Now, we'll see multiple concepts here with the help of this project. But before that, let's see. Anyone heard about RAG? Okay, but before that, I want to understand, anyone heard about OpenAI? Anyone here who has not heard about OpenAI yet? Shri Charan, can you please put messages in the everyone comment? You are sending me private messages. Okay, you have not heard about OpenAI. Have you heard about ChatGPT? So, who built ChatGPT? OpenAI is the company that has built ChatGPT. Now, have you heard about OpenAI? Harshit, this is just a webinar. The course that is linked to it will be helping you with the AI rules. Okay. So what ChatGPT is, right? Basically, there's an interface. We just send our messages and it comes back, right? This is what ChatGPT is. Yes, no? Now, how this magic is happening? At the backend here, there is something called as a model. There is something called as a model that is hosted. So I'll be putting a lot of terminologies here. Please remember them. Go do Google it. Once we are done with the webinar, I can't club everything in just 1 single hour. But yeah, we'll try to cover as much as possible. So there are multiple models that are hosted at the backend, and who has done this hosting? The company OpenAI. At the backend, this company has hosted these models, and what we are actually doing is we are just calling these models via an API. API calls. Are we good? We have OpenAI as a company who has created a model, hosted that model for us. What we are doing, basically, we are using API calls to query that model and getting our results back. Results back. This is the simple workflow, how ChatGPT works. Please give me a yes or no for this. Anyone here who doesn't still understood how ChatGPT works? Okay, I just got 3 yeses. Okay. So now, you might be wondering what is in this API call, right? In this API call, we are zooming in a bit now. In this API call, we have a user input. I'll explain why these all things are important. But before that, in this API call, what is it? There is a user input with some context. In this API call, there is a user input with some context. Now, what do you mean by context? Right? Okay. Who is here using ChatGPT? Anyone here who's using ChatGPT? Give me a yes or no. If you're not using, give me a no. If you're using, give me a yes. Okay. Any brave soul can tell me what they are using ChatGPT for? Any example? Can you type it on the chat? What you are using it for? Assignment and notes. Okay. For editing, interesting, to solve assignments, clearing doubts, codes. Okay. So whatever you have mentioned here, right, for what you are using it, that is what your context is. So your prompt might always look like, or yeah, this user input in technical terms, this is called a prompt. Tech support, giving summary. Okay, let's talk about this giving summary part, right? So when you say giving a summary, okay, if you're using Gemini, please tell why you're using Gemini. That's totally fine. Okay. So when you talk about summary, right, you might be giving a big paragraph and asking you want to summarize this paragraph, right? Or there are certain different questions. In this, your context becomes this paragraph and your ask or what you want to do or what your instruction is. What your instruction is your summarization. Make sense? Give me a yes or no. Good till now. You understood what a prompt is. You understood what a user input is. A very fancy term is roaming here and there in the market called as RAG. You might create a lot of RAG projects ideally if you want to land a job in AI. If you want to go for AI developer jobs, AI engineering jobs, it's always good to have at least one decent RAG project in your CV. Anyone here heard what RAG is? Anyone can tell me the full form of the RAG? Only tell me if you know it. Don't tell me just Googling it and telling here. No point of that. Anyone here knows what RAG is? Yes, no. If you don't know, put a no here. If you know, well and good. Okay, I'll tell you the full form. RAG is basically retrieval augmented generation. Retrieval augmented generation. These are three different components. Generation, we all know, right? Uh, we all know how generation means. Basically, we put an input and we get an output. That is what generation is. Correct? Like we are generating some answers. Yes or no? Correct? Okay. Now, what retrieval here means? Coming back to our example of summarization, is writing on the screen. Please stop that. Coming to our example where we say summarizing and we are giving a big context here. This big context is the retrieval part. Generation is what output we'll get from the AI, and augmentation is combining these two together. Combining these two together. So when you, okay, for assignments, I'll give you an example. For assignments, what you are doing, right? You are saying that, okay, this is what my assignment is, or this is what my assignment is, give me a code for that. Correct? When you say this is what my assignment is, that context is basically your retrieval. And when you are putting it with your instruction, that is what your augmentation is. And when you get back an answer, that is called a generation part. Sounds good? This is what RAG is. RAG is a very popular term nowadays. There are multiple types of RAG, but this is a very basic and simple example of what RAG is. Okay. I'll give you some use cases where RAG is being used nowadays a lot. But before that, everyone understood what RAG is? Give me a yes or no for that on the chat. How all these things are related to project, we'll come to that end of it. Okay. Can anyone tell me any live use cases of AI? Have you used AI anywhere, somewhere? I'm talking about the applications. Like we have Zomato support desk, right? They are using AI now at the backend. So in that reference, I'm asking. My generation, fair enough. Yeah. Let me give it this way. What if you have your course book? You might be studying some specific courses, you might be doing some other speed things, right? You might be doing some, maybe, I don't know, just any random subject, maybe mathematics, maybe ED, maybe M1, M2, whatever you are doing, correct? You have this complete book. Now, what you are doing is you are asking a question, give me, or you can say, what is capital in that, or you can ask specific questions. But AI will always give you a generic answer. I'll tell you why basically this is generic. It's actually not generic. Chat GPT is trained on all the data, or the first model of Chat GPT was trained on all the data that was available on internet till 2021. This was, I'm talking about the GPT-3. So GPT-3 was trained on all the data that was available on internet from 2021. But basically, when you ask any question to that GPT, or when you are any ask question to Gemini or whichever AI tool, they are just giving or replying back from what the context they have. But what we can do here is we can ask or control the context of our GPT, and we can say, give me an answer from this book. We don't want an answer from multiple, or we don't want an answer, or we don't want a generic answer. We want an answer from this specific book. This is also known as knowledge base. A lot of companies are using it. A lot of real life, or I would say a lot of practical examples are there when you build chatbots with this. Make sense? This is what your knowledge base is, and using this knowledge base or retrieving some chunks from this knowledge base is retrieval, then augmentation and generation. Sounds good? I hope now we understand what RAG is. I will connect it to our project. Very good. Give me yes or no. Now here, can I remove this line? Okay. Let's leave it there. Okay, this application is actually built on Flask. Anyone here who knows what Flask is? I mean, yes or no, if you know what Flask is. Sir, can you tell deep of RAG? Kalyan, can you do you understand what I just said about RAG? Okay. Why? I have already explained, right? Rishma, it's already zoomed in. I can't zoom in more than that. It's already at max. So can you do Kalyan, give me a better question. When you said deep about RAG, what do you want to know more about? If you don't understood what I said just now, that means you were not attentive, right? I explained RAG twice. Okay. Anyone here who know what Flask is? Give me a yes or no. If you don't know, please give me no. If you know, then please give me yes. A lot of folks don't know Flask. Okay. So Flask is nothing but a framework which you can use. Yes, Mohammed knows that. It's basically a web framework which you can use to build your applications, to build your web apps. Web app is nothing but this. So you go to some URL, you type some URL, you do some stuff with on that website, right? Basically, that is what your web app is. It's just a framework to build that. Yeah. Okay. So this has been built with okay. How can I remove these who are writing here? Let me just stop sharing and I'll restart sharing. So basically, I've created a web app from Flask. I hope my screen is visible, right? Yeah, screen is visible. Okay. And here I have hosted it. This is the URL it has given me, and we can reach out to this URL and see our application. Not going into much pieces of the UI here, how this UI is coming up, because it's not about Flask. Basically, what is happening when I click here on choose file, right? When I click here on choose file, that is this piece of code where it says this route. This is the back end of our application. I'm not going into the front end of our application. Here, this app.route is our index.html or basically the root page of this application. It is using this index.html code and it is rendering that. Rendering just nothing but rendering basically means showing it on browser. That's what basically render is. Now, when I upload, the moment I click on that choose and I upload a file, when I upload the file, it sees if the file is not there, then it redirects to index. If file name is empty, it redirects to index. Else, it just basically stores that file in the upload folder. Then it goes to this function, extract text from PDF. Now we are going into the RAG part of it. Now we are going into the how actually AI is working here. So please be very attentive, everyone. It is going to this function that is extract text from PDF. Let's go there. So we are using a PyPDF library, which is basically reading the text from our file. There's a library called as PyPDF. We are using that library to read the text from our file. And from here, we are returning back the text here. Then comes a splitting of text. We'll talk about this in a later session. We'll talk about this when we talk about chunking and all. When we talk about optimizations of RAG, we'll talk about all this. I'm skipping only this part right now, but we'll circle back after a few minutes. Now we have basically splitted it. The basic meaning of splitting is nothing but, so we have this big chunk of our file, right? Like maybe this resume has my name in that, then there are some work experiences, some text, some awards. It basically splits everything in different chunks of text. Like if you have a string, right? And if you split it, basically it will have multiple chunks. Correct? That is what splitting is. Make sense? Are we good till these 2 points? Are we good till extracting text and splitting text? Please give me yes or no. Only 3 yeses. What about others? Next, there is something called as FIAS. So I leave this as a task. Tell me the full form of FIAS. Just Google search it. Tell me the full form of FIAS. We'll talk about embeddings and all this. Let's do a Google search. Give me the full form of FIAS. Facebook AI similarity search. So it creates a vector store for that. What is a vector store and what is the splitting? Now we'll jump into this. But yeah, it creates a vector store and here it invokes our analysis and we have our chain, AI chain. I'll just show you this AI chain. We have our prompt. So you remember we talked about prompt, right? Remember we talked about prompt. This is the prompt we are saying. You are an AI career coach. Given that candidate's resume, give us a comprehensive summary and we will give our resume here. This resume is basically the text of our resume. Make sense? I hope at least this part is clear. How it's connected to RAG. This is your RAG part. This is your retrieval. This resume fetching text of resume is basically your retrieval. Okay. We have given this. We have invoked this chain. Let me zoom in for this. Yeah, I have zoomed in. This is the chain resume prompt and then it goes to the LLM. Let's see where LLM is. LLM is this one. I'm using Azure OpenAI. Yeah, you can use here, you can use Gemini, you can use Claude, you can use Anthropic, whatever you want, you can use here. This is the LLM and this LLM will return back the results. Okay. Resume prompt, LLM, here we talked about this, and it is invoking that. And it is rendering our results in, it is rendering the results in results.html. I'll show you here again. The moment I will click on submit, the moment I'll click here, it will extract the text. Can anyone give me the steps? If you are listening, whatever you remember, the moment I click on submit, what will happen? First step, it will extract the text. Can anyone give me the steps? We just saw, right? Okay, anyone is typing. Okay, extract text from PDF. Good, Abhinanda. Extract text from PDF, classify it into chunks. What was the next one? After classifying, we are storing it in a vector store. We are I'll explain the chunking and the vector store part. We are storing it in the vector store, and after that, we are invoking our chain. And when we say invoking our chain, basically it will summarize our resume. That is what we are doing here. It will summarize our resume based on this prompt. I'll show you now and submit resume. See, here the content is comprehensive summary. This was the name of the person whose CV it was, and we get some details here. Yeah, he combines technical skills with strong communication, leadership, whatever is written here. This is a summary. Like some educational background, some GPA, technical skills, all these things are mentioned here. Now we'll talk about, first we'll talk about chunking. Now we are jumping a little more in depth into RAG. We are talking about how we can optimize RAG. Basically, what we are saying here is we have our instruction and we have some context here. And we want to do some or maybe fetch something from that context. Generally, this is an experimental observation. What we have seen, if we can provide this context into smaller chunks, if we can provide this context into smaller chunk rather than a big paragraph. So suppose there is a book, right? And if you say that I am putting a complete book here directly, that might not give you correct answers. A better part is we will split this book into multiple chapters. We'll split this into multiple chapters. Now, if somebody asks some question from here, explaining you how the technical depth of this. So suppose this is a book which has multiple chapters. Here they are talking about some 1980s, and here they are talking about some 2000s, and here they are talking about 2010. Now, if somebody asks question from about 2010, right? What we are doing here is we will create or we will put a similarity search here. Similarity search. Similarity search is basically nothing what we do in Google in earlier days, how we just do a Google search, right? It's just a search that we are doing. This similarity search will say that in this chapter, you are talking about 2010, and it will return only this chapter. You know how accuracy increased? Like earlier, I was returning a complete book. Anyone if comes there, ask a question about 2010, or anyone comes here, ask a question about some other specific date, we are returning the complete book and we are saying, okay, AI fetch the results from this one. But now we are concising and we are giving an accurate context that, okay, this is a context related to 2010. Now give me results only for that. Make sense? Give me a yes or no if you understood. If not, please give me a no for it. Yes, no. Already tired. Bored of the lecture. What? No, can you repeat? Okay. Okay. I'll explain this again. It's a bit complex. I also know that. Okay. Let me use a different example. Suppose we have a book. This book has multiple chapters. Maybe there is a chapter that talks about money. Maybe there is a chapter that talks about content generation. Maybe there is a chapter that talks about something else, something academic. Right? Now, if I ask query to my AI about editing, about video editing, which chapter it should go for? Like, what would you recommend? Do you want the AI to read it from the complete book, or would you say that, okay, I'll give you the chapter and now tell me which is the better? Like, what is the answer for that? What would you recommend? Or can anyone tell me which chapter? Yeah, which chapter? Okay. And video editing will belong to which chapter? Content creation, right? So here, this, like how we know that, right? Just how our brain knows. Similarly, there is something called as a similarity search. Let me use text boxes here. It will give you better clarity. Similarity search. This similarity search is something that helps search this video editing in these chapters. And it will only return the chapters which are having the keywords that we are asking in our question. So in this, it's video editing. It will return this chapter back to our AI, or like how you are normally querying, right? What you are doing normally to the chatbot, what you are doing normally on the chat GPT interface or your Gemini interface. What you are doing is you are asking a question, you are giving some assignment answers or some assignment context, and it's returning back. Here this assignment answers or this retrieval we are automating or we are improvising using a similarity search. That's the same thing. As a user, you are just putting your question. As a user, you are just putting your question. At the back end, this application is understanding your question. Based on your question, it is going to go to the book, get the chapter, comes back with that chapter, and infuse it with your prompt. Now, this whole thing, this question and the chapter context or whatever the chapter text was. Okay, let me use the chapter text. This whole thing becomes your prompt. I hope now everyone gets it right. This question plus your chapter, these both things becomes your prompt. Make sense? I hope it is crystal clear now what RAG is, how RAG is working. So here we are not manually searching or we are not doing anything. What we are doing is we are just writing our question and we have designed our app in such a way that it will fetch the correct retrieval. And now what these chapters we are talking about, technical terms, we call these chapters as chunk. How we define it? Using chunk size. Chunk size. What basically that means, chunk size will be 100, 200, or we can set whatever chunk size, maybe 500 chunk size. What chunk size is basically, suppose our text is of 10,000 characters, it will split it at every 500 characters. It's that simple. That's it. That is what a chunk size is. You can also chunk it by paragraphs. You can also chunk it by lines. I have seen such examples in industry where like the applications are chunking these things by lines. Like every line is considered a separate chunk. And our similarity search will return more than one chapter here, more than one line here to get the answer. I hope similarity search is understood by the name, right? What similarity search is. Anyone who doesn't understand what similarity search is doing, give me yes or no if you understood what similarity search is doing here. Now we will give this prompt to our AI and AI will return back with the accurate answer what we wanted. Now the same thing is happening at the first time. What we are doing for the first time, what we are doing, we are just feeding our, we are just feeding side. We are just feeding our CV. Basically, we are creating multiple chunks of that and we are just feeding our CV to our AI bot. Now what we are going to do? Okay, before that, feeding and storing our CV. Feeding and storing our CV as a vector store. What is a vector store? Just understand that I hope everyone knows, right? Computers does not understand English. Like when you say A, B, C, D, or whatever you type on keyboard, it's not how computer is reading English, right? Basically, you convert this whole text into some numbers or some bytes or some bits. I hope you know what bits are, right? You may yes or no. So basically we store, ideally vector store is just about numbers. We convert this whole text into some numbers and we store it. Why do we store it? We'll talk about it in a bit. Now what we are going to do, based on this comprehensive summary that we have, we are going to ask a question. I'm going to ask a question here. Let me zoom in. Let me type a question here. And I want to apply for software engineering role. What changes should I do to my CV? I have asked the question here. I want to apply to an engineering role, software engineering role. What changes I should do to my CV? This is very critical. See, now I hope you understand where RAG, the retrieval part, where this context, all these things are coming into picture, right? Now you see the power of RAG. Now, why do we store this summary? Remember, we stored that summary, correct? Can anyone tell me how we stored that summary of our CV? What is it called? Vector store, correct. So we stored it as a vector store. Now what will happen, the moment I will click on this submit, I'll show you at the code level as well. The moment I do that, Fias will get activated. Fias will do a similarity search to this vector store to get my CV. The moment it gets my CV, this whole thing, this question and whatever the vector store has returned, these two things will go to our AI and AI will return back with answers. And click on submit. It's loading and we have our answers. So where it says, sure, tailor to your CV, these are some things that you can do. Like, see, my older CV was a web developer. Now he is saying that move this title to a software engineer or a software developer. Change your some of the objectives. I hope now this project makes sense, right? I'll show you how at a code level this is working, but I hope everyone understands how this project is working, how this application is behaving. Please give me a yes or no. Now let's see at a code level how this thing was working. So earlier, now we'll again go to the code. The moment we say an upload, I hope now these 4 lines make sense. It first extract the text, split the text, then it creates a vector store and it saves in my local. This vector index is saved in my local. Where it is saved, here if I expand this, here you can see, here is my vector store. This Fias file you can see, right, everyone? Give me a yes or no. Abhinanda, I'll give this question just give me a bit. I'll answer your question. I hope you understood this, right? This Fias is something that we just stored. Now after that, what is happening? We are going into this ask section. Yeah, I hope now the code is visible. App route ask. We're going into this ask section and it is basically using our query. Query is coming from the form, what we just typed. Then we are running a QA here. I'll show you what in this function is, QA function. This is our QA. See, we'll see this function now. First of all, it is loading my local vector store index. Yes or no? Embedding is also a very interesting concept. Unfortunately, we don't have much time left to go into much depth of it, but yeah. Embedding is basically how the similarity search is working. That is what embeddings are. Okay, moving on. See, first it creates a DB, it loads the vector store index into the DB. DB works as a retriever and returns user similarity search in the retriever part. Then we have another chain type called as retrieval QA. This is a default chain type given us from LangChain. We give our LLM, we give our model here, we give the chain type, we use our retriever here, and we have a result. And we put this result or we render this result back. This is where the magic is happening, where it is talking to AI. I hope this perform QA option is good. Give me yes or no if you understood this. Okay. Can you mention, Kalyan, what haven't you understood? What is the exact thing that you didn't get it here, so that I can like focus on that? In the meantime, Kalyan and Grishma, you can mention your exact question. What is your exact question? What you didn't understood? In the meantime, let me answer Abhinanda's question. Do we have to train the model with all possible questions or just keywords? Abhinanda, okay. Can you even train the model with all possible questions? Like, would you know that how many questions can be getting generated, right? So your question should go in a direction that can we even train the model with all the knowledge that we have. That is something where we talk about fine tuning versus parameterization. Again, it's a very big concept. I'm just giving you a highlight here. To answer your question, we can train the models, but it is very costly for us. I told you like in last our webinar, I told, right, like for OpenAI, it took like 6 months. And they have had like millions and billions of dollars. So we don't have that, right? We can't do it on our local machines. We need like servers that are big enough to a house. We need that big servers to do all this. And even those with those big servers, it will take months for us to train. So it's never a preferred option to train the models. At least now after AI. How it works as a code. I'll explain the code lines again. First, we have our FIS. We have our vector index. We are putting it in our DB. You may yes or no. Kalyan and Girishma, you didn't understood this, right? You may yes or no. Now this DB works, or this DB reacts as an retriever using similarity search and put our results back here in the retriever part. This variable, we have our results. Are we good? Give me yes or no. Then there is another function called as retrieval QA. This is by default given by the LangChain library. From there, we are saying this is your retriever and this is your model. This is our RQ, basically retrieval QA chain. And then we are invoking that. That's it. We are invoke always means we are hitting back to our AI. We are hitting back to our GPT model. Basically, that's what invoke means. We have created our query, including the retriever, and we are telling that hit this LLM. Remember what was an LLM? I'll show you what was an LLM. LLM was my ChatGPT 4. Sorry. LLM was my ChatGPT. So here in this, they're saying that hit this ChatGPT 4 with this retriever and the user chain type stuff. But there are multiple chain types, but yeah, for now understand it stuff. And this will give us a results. Sounds good? Awesome. Yeah, with this, we are pretty much done with our project and pretty much done with the webinar. That's content we wanted to have. Now it's QA time. You can ask any questions you want. I'll be stop sharing in minutes, but yeah, I'll be monitoring chats. You can put your questions in the chat. So our coding language, I am using Python. Generally, a lot of industries also using Python. Even Java and C++ is something that there are some AI libraries that are there, so you can code them as well. But yeah, I am using Python. Python has a lot of inbuilt stuff, so I don't want to complicate things. We can do only in VS Code. Aditya, is this a question or is this a statement? Are you asking or are you telling me that we can only do this in VS Code? Okay, no. So we can use any, we can use Anaconda, we can use Spider, we can use Google Colab, anything. It's just how the code runs. Because it was a Flash code, it was a complete application where the front end and back end both are there. So I used VS Code. That's it. And I'm stopping sharing. Yeah. So there is a form as well for your feedback. Please feel free to fill that. And if you want to connect, I'm also sharing my LinkedIn again. If any, in case you missed it, feel free to connect, feel free to ask your questions, and even feel free to collaborate on a project. If you have a project in your mind, you want some help, you want some guidance, or even you want a maybe a partner to help in that project, feel free to do that. Sir, can we get your code? No, Kalyan, you can't get my code. Because it's just a part of a webinar, you won't be getting the code. Try building it in your own. Sir, which LLM and editor is good for coding? Kanya, there is no. So as we say, right, it's not about the car. It's always the driver behind the car, or it's always about the driver behind the wheel, steering wheel. So any editor, which LLM is a different story, but which editor is good, there's no. It's a personal preference. I've seen people still using Notepad++, so it's up to you what you want to use. For your answer of which LLM, that depends on what you want to do. For what I meant by that is, if you want to use image generation, then there's a different LLM. If you want code generation, then there's a different LLM. So based on those, it's better. Sir, give sample code for this. Sorry, Saraswati, I won't be giving a sample code. This is not for sharing, to be precise. This was just for to show you what track can be done. I don't want you to use these code as your assignments, so I'll not be sharing this. For the sample codes, just go there, just do a Google search on AI career projects or something like that on GitHub. You will get a lot of reference codes for that. Kanaya, if you're asking for code generation, my personal preference LLM is Qwen, or you can use Claude or Anthropic as well. Those are some decent ones. Thanks, Kavi. I hope we learned something new. I'll take questions for 10 more minutes. If there are no questions, we can close early as well, but yeah. Uh, so there is a question. Can you know? I don't know what this question meant. Somebody's private messaging me and saying there is no chance to get jobs for students AML. What that means, I don't understand. Okay, no doubts. Thank you. Thank you. Bye. If there are no doubts, if you want to drop off, feel free to drop off. If you want to hear other doubts, that's good. If there are no doubts, we may close it in another 4 minutes.
Hello, students. I hope your session went well. So just check in the chat box. We have shared you one Google Form link. That is a feedback form. So if you guys have any, you want to enroll for any other domain or something like that, right? So you can just fill out that form and our executive will be reaching you out. Okay. So yeah, that's all. And if you want the link again, we will be sharing you it again. If you on the pin, you can check with that. Yeah, so we have shared it again. Just check with the form and fill it. Okay. All right, fine. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, team. Thanks, everyone. I'm dropping off. Yep. Have a good day, everyone.